this lesson, today I will judge nothing that occurs. The Course constantly talks about judgment, and people are always saying you're not supposed to judge. The Course doesn't say you're not supposed to judge or that you shouldn't judge. It's that it basically tells us you cannot judge. Now, with that said, let me tell you what it also says about judgment. Today I will judge nothing that occurs, because judgment from the Course's perspective is not, should I wear the blue blouse or the red blouse today? Judgment is condemnation. This is about condemning thoughts. This is not about, will I eat an apple or an orange, or have orange juice or apple juice? That's not what this is talking about. That's talking about, today I will not condemn myself nor others. And our condemnation happens without us even recognizing it. We are just constantly judging ourselves and judging each other. And we're based, and it's not just us, so don't feel like, oh, that's me, all right. It is, as the Course would say, this ancient learning that we have bought into. It's a collective consciousness that we are a part of. But as much as we can be angry or upset by this collective consciousness that has caused us to judge and become angry at each other, this collective consciousness can also move this planet along. You know, just as we reach a collective awareness, and we can move and have paradigm shifts if we focus our attention on the truth. That's how quickly things can change. You know, I like to listen to Fareed Zakaria. I don't know if anybody listens to him on CNN. Karen and I do. If I ask if anybody's listening, it's always Karen and me. Of course, the rest of you are too, but only Karen will tell me she's listening. But I like Fareed. I just think he has a very global perspective on, and he has all sorts of people on his show, and the Sunday morning talk show is not just about politics. You know, it's about everything that's happening in the world. And I like to have a better, broader understanding of what's going on. Well, he had a guy on the other night, maybe, or the other Sunday, maybe Karen saw it. About Greece, and they were talking, it was a guy who was talking about the financial problems. We know Greece has had like a financial upheaval, and the whole European Union has come under a lot of fire lately. And you know, they said, this guy was on there, and they talk about things. I can grasp some of it. I don't know everything because I'm not there, but in that mindset of the European Union. But they said, you know, now it used to be that we could just travel between one country and another, and it wasn't that difficult. They didn't have the borders up as much. Now there is a great deal of, you know, closing off at the borders. He said it'd be like in this country moving from one state to another. He says we're so interconnected, and there's becoming to be a feeling of, you're this country, we're that country. It's an isolationism that is taking place. And he said it does have a lot to do with our financial issues too. There's a lot of financial problems going on over there right now. He said we're kind of in a mess, and they talked about it. And boy, from everything they were saying, I'm going, oh, I have no idea how that's going to work, how that's ever going to heal. And you know, Fareed said to him, he says, what do you think? What are we going to do? And the guy said, I love this. He said, I have faith it will all work out. That was his statement. I have faith. And Fareed's like, what? What? He says, yeah, I have faith. And I think this Fareed is kind of with this too. He says, what else do we have? He says, we've worked things out before. We will work it out again. He said, I hold that faith because unless I do, then it is totally hopeless. But he said, that faith is what will bring us out, will pull us out. And what that made sense to me was, even in the face of logic, you know, our mind's logical ways of figuring out our political differences and our financial differences, he's trying to say it is going to work. We are going to be able to overcome this. And I thought to myself, that's really what we all need. I'm not saying we should be, you know, foolish in the way we approach things, but I think at the basis of everything we do every day, every moment, every instant should be, this can be worked out. This can be healed. This can be transformed. I was listening to a TED Talk where Al Gore was speaking. And you know, Mr. Al Gore, did you see that one too, Karen? Yeah, you raised your hand. Yeah, well, what did you do? You and I must be, we are simpatico in our minds or something. Yeah, it was on the radio. That's exactly right. NPR and the TED Talk, that it was just last night or something. And I was thinking, he came on and he said pretty much the same thing. He was talking, he says, we're going to be able to handle climate change. We're going to be able to succeed. We're going to be able to mitigate it. And the guy said, "Really? Are you kidding? You know, where the icebergs are melting, the polar bears are dying. He says, oh no, he says, but we can do it. He says, we can actually do it. Now we have reached, now it might mean, and how he said, you might have to move inland a little bit more because we might lose some land. But he says, it's not like we can't survive this. If we start making some changes, we can do it. He says, we'll be able to do it. And I just thought that, we might sound, well, that's not exactly how I want it. But the fact is, we can. The human mind is so resourceful. We can overcome these seeming challenges in this physical world. And I would say the reason why that is because of the spark of the divine that abides within each one of us. That's why I think it works. Because we are greater than this world. We are greater than the laws of this world. Now, with that said, I'm not talking about manipulating the world. But what I am saying is that we have to start realizing that our faith in the truth is an important factor for us. It's an important healing transition for us. It's an important transformative power for us. And we have to believe that. That's why when you get a lesson like this, it says, today I will judge nothing that occurs, which sounds like almost impossible when every second of the day you are judging. And if you just look at your mind, you see that you are judging, whether it's things from the past or what's going to happen tomorrow or how that person has always been, or when you pick up the newspaper or when you look out the window and you see the neighbors still didn't cut their lawn or they're watering too much on the street or it's rolling off into the street. There's lots of things that we do that judge, that bring this up. But this says, today I will judge nothing that occurs. That I can actually feel the love of God by withholding I'd say withholding, but transmuting, I would say, my judgment. Now, if you flip your little thing on the other side, here's the reason why. And we'll put this up right now next to me. That number 7, that first thought, it says, all that is asked of you is to make room for truth. Look, you don't have to understand it. You don't have to figure out how you don't judge. It says all you have to do is make room for truth. You are not asked to make or do what lies beyond your understanding. All you are asked to do is what? In italics, it says, let it in. Make room for it. Only to stop your interference with what will happen of itself. Simply to recognize again the presence of what you thought you gave away. You see, we think we've lost everything. We think we've lost who we are. We think that the world has beat out of us our innocence and our truth. That's why I keep telling you, send me your picture for the wall of innocence. You need to remember who you are. You need to remember the truth that abides within you. That has never left us. That truth has never left us. And all this says here is truth isn't hard. You have to get out of its way. You got to move out of the way. That's why it says all that's ever asked of you is to make room for truth. So when this says, today I will judge nothing that occurs, this doesn't have to be hard. You just have to make room for it, which means you have to make it present in your mind that I'm not going to follow into my judgments. When I see the judgment occur, I'm not going to get mad at myself. I'm just going to be aware of it. And I'm going to say to that little judgment, today I will judge nothing that occurs. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. And then watch how quickly you make another judgment about how poorly you judged the thing that you were now not supposed to judge. So we need to just keep bringing that into our awareness, Like this says, you're not asked to make or do what lies beyond your understanding. You're just asked to do is let it in. Let it in. Bring it in. We keep saying this. The Course says it's nothing so much you have to do as undo, right? That you need to look at the blocks you've built up, as it says here, only to stop your interference with what will happen of itself. Stop the interference. We want to dwell on the interference. We want to dwell on the mistake we're making. We want to dwell on how wrong we are. We don't want to look and just leave a little space. We want to keep dwelling. And that's what this is saying. And what it's telling us is what that Greek minister was saying. He says, if you don't have faith that this will all work out, you've got nothing. So I think we need to have that. And here's somebody talking about money and borders and all sorts of political and financial stuff, and he's still using the faith word. So if he can use the faith word in that regard, then we should too. If Al Gore can use the faith word in regard to global warming, that it's all going to work out, then I think we can too when it comes to our own personal lives and the judgments and the angry thoughts that we have about ourselves or about others. So today I will judge nothing that occurs. May seem really tough, but it's just watching our minds because we're not doing it. We're asked to only leave the space so that God can do the rest. That's what we're asked to do.